Hi and welcome to FlexBetManager. In this video I'm going to talk about FlexBetManager betting strategies, and the following questions are going to be answered. What are betting strategies? How to create and manage betting strategies? What are all the different features of betting strategies? Okay, let's get to it. FlexBetManager user can create betting strategies which are basically combination of different statistical conditions. As a football bettor, you might already have a lot of betting strategies in your mind, and maybe you're spending a lot of time to collect data and find out how efficient are your strategies. Usually, those strategies contain different kinds of statistical conditions, so even if you have some good and working strategies in your mind, it's very difficult to follow all the football games simultaneously, especially when they are live. Either you're busy or just simply cannot physically handle high volume of parallel matches. And since you are putting a lot of energy, most of the time you do things which are totally based on emotions, and eventually you end up blowing up your bank. FlexBetManager allows you to input those strategies in the system and automate them. You can either test them on non-real fake money and measure efficiency over a period of time. See for instance on which tournaments it's profitable or on which tournaments it's not working. And once you have a strategy which works best for you, you can simply connect it with your Betfair account using our FlexBetManager Windows client, and your bets will be automatically placed once strategy conditions are met. This way you can follow not just a handful of matches but almost all the football events that Betfair supports at the moment. In this video, I'll be going over all the sections of betting strategy and explaining each of them, and I'll create a basic strategy and you will see how it's generating matches and checking the status. In the next videos, I'll create more betting strategies and will show you all the little details. Alright, let's start. We need to go into bet management strategy management section, and from here now we can see there are no any strategies. We're just going to create the first one, and clicking add new button, it's showing up this small pop-up where I can put the name of the strategy. It's gonna be first half goals after 20th minute. For now let's leave this active flag as unchecked because we yet need to define our betting strategy. And once we click save, it's created. Once our betting strategy is created, we can click on the name and it'll show the betting strategy details page. From here we can define our conditions. There are so many conditions, so let's go over each section. In the first section, locations and tournaments selection, and this section we have two options. The first option is go with selected tournaments and locations, and clicking on add location and tournaments button, we can see this little pop-up from where we can select locations. Like for instance, if I select Spain, and it'll show up in the other drop down the list of tournaments in the Spain. So I can either select some individual tournaments, or I can just leave this box empty, this drop down empty, and in that case it'll apply the entire Spain for all the tournaments. If I save it, it's gonna show up in this grid. If I change my mind, I can go ahead and delete it. For this strategy we'll go with not the individual tournaments but with all the matches. So I just need to click this switch button, and now it's switched to all the matches. And now I can just eliminate some tournaments and locations, clicking this add locations and tournaments. The same way I can select any tournaments, for instance any country or tournament like Brazil, and if I select for example Serie A, it'll just exclude, it'll not check any matches that are happening in Brazil Serie A. But for now let's just delete this as well and go with all the matches. In the next section, which is the main section basically, we select our bet type, and we select all our conditions. So we decided that our first strategy is gonna be first half goals, and from this drop down we can select first half goals over 0.5. We have so many types available in this list. I mean, basically those strategies work very well on more or less goals. That's why we have a lot of combinations, all of them which are supported by Betfair, but we also have victories, draws, draw no bet, and things like that. Also bet types for corners, if of course Betfair supports them for the specific match. So let's select first half over 0.5 goals, and we can have multiple condition groups, and those condition groups can be combined with or and conditions. Let's for now just begin with one condition group, and we need to give a name, and let's name it main conditions, and let's add our first condition. Let's so we have so many condition types in here. It's like minute, all the statistical conditions, goals of home team, of away team, first half goals, whether if it's live or not. So for now let's select for the first condition, let's have minute, and we select a condition which is basically returns current minute of the match. Let's select it, and it's going to show up in here, and we can actually define the condition sign. It can be more and equal, less or equal, and let's make it 20, which means the condition will be passed only if it's or less than greater than equal to 20, which means the condition will be passed only in case if it's 20th minute of the match or more. It's gonna wait until 20th minute and then mark it as passed. At that point the odds are definitely higher than in the beginning. So this is the first condition. Let's go to the next condition. Next condition in our case will be again the minute, because we need to we don't want to actually make it so that the bet gets placed at 40th minute. So in our case let's make it 25, which means the entire condition group will be considered as passed at this point when it's more when the minute is greater than 20, and it's basically it's between 20 and 25th minute. So if it goes over 20 at 25th minute, it'll be considered as rejected, and no bet will be placed for this betting strategy. The next condition, let's put it the total number of goals, because this condition type actually returns the total number of scored goals. So if it's let's make it equal to 0, we are going to pass this condition group only in case if there are no goals so far in the match. If there is a goal, then we just forget this match and move over. The next condition, let's put total shots. This actually shows that there is some activity in the match and there are some shots. We can basically also select shots on goal or shots off goal, whatever we want, but for now let's just go with total shots, and let's just find it. Yeah, we have total shots, and for each condition type we basically have this small question mark, clicking to which we can get a description. Let's select it, and let's make it more than or equal to 3. We actually want to have at least 3 shots in order to mark this condition group as passed. So this is not enough. Let's have more conditions. Let's put the next condition as current odds, which is also very important. And current odds actually means the current odd of the current bet type, which is in this case is first half over goals 0.5, and we need to make sure that it's actually a high value. In our case, let's make it 1.9. So if it's less than 1.9, it's not going to consider as passed. It's going to wait until it reaches to 1.9, and we actually sync our odds from Betfair. It's all Betfair odds basically. And if the odds are less than 1.9, it's going to wait until it reaches to this point. If after 25th minute it's less than 1.9, the entire condition group will be rejected. So let's go ahead. But usually it's on most of the matches after 20th minute it reaches to 1.9. Let's go ahead and select the next condition, and in our case next condition will be total dangerous attacks. We need to also make sure that there's some activity in terms of dangerous attacks in the match. So let's select. So this is just a filter. It's to quickly access our desired condition type, and let's select total dangerous attacks, and let's basically make it more than or equal to maybe something 20, or let's make it 18. Yeah, and also let's make sure there are no red cards, because usually when there are red cards the game changes and one team actually goes into defense, and there's likely there'll be a goal in the first half. So let's just make sure we have that condition as well. We have red cards home, away, and total red cards. Let's select it, and let's make it equal to 0. We also have those checkboxes in here, and this means actually when for some reason we don't have a data, because we are relying on third-party APIs for pulling up statistical data, or odds, for example, it's from Betfair. Then what happens if we don't have data? In this case, we can just either skip it, skip this condition, and this condition will be considered as passed. Otherwise, we can leave it unchecked, and in that case, if we don't have data, it'll be rejected. There are some matches on which we might not have statistical data, because there are so many matches, everything happens. And we go ahead and click this save button. Before clicking save button, I want to also tell that those conditions can be basically combined with AND or condition. It's by default AND, but we can also select OR, which means the condition before and after condition, this AND and OR are combined by AND or OR. If it's OR, then if either of those two are passed, then those two are considered as passed. But if it's AND, both of them needs to be passed. Okay, let's go ahead and click save button, and now our condition group is saved. So we have all our condition groups and our bet type set up. This is the first thing. Let's go to the next section. It's include and exclude teams. So we can actually include specific teams into our strategy, and our strategy will work only on those teams. We can also exclude some teams from our strategy. For the beginning, when you just define your strategy, it is advised to not include or exclude any teams, and over a period of time, when you see that some teams are just always failing or failing most of the time, you can come here and click this button, add teams, and add or exclude any teams you want, or click. And when you select this exclude option and then click add teams, This way we can select location, we can have some keywords, and if we don't have it, it's going to just pull all the matches or all the teams, sorry. And in this case it shows 0 because for this is a brand new strategy, and let's select for instance Real Madrid or Real. Since this is a brand new strategy, then none of those teams will have any bets on this strategy. That's why it shows 0 for all of them. And for now, let's keep this. We're not going to select any teams. We're just going to proceed with all the teams and all the matches. The next section is additional conditions. Actually, this section has conditions which are basically related to the past matches of those teams. I mean, from here we can add a new condition group, we can add new condition, and from this pop-up we can select different kind of conditions which are pre-match conditions, like number of home team wins in last n head-to-head games, things like this. For now we're not going to select any of them, and but in the next videos I'll create more betting strategies, and I'll include also additional conditions, and I'll demonstrate how they are working. So just let's keep this section for now. So the next section is bet amount management. By default it shows 100, and there is no any currency in our system, just goes with conventional units. By default it's 100, and you can, if you basically you're using Betfair Windows client and your default currency is euros, then it'll be euros. You'll just come here and you'll put your bet amount, the amount which is going to be placed for a single match. But since it's not going to be Betfair strategy, I mean we're not going to use Betfair Windows client, and we're not going to make real bets, then let's just leave it on 100. And if you go with Betfair, there's usually a commission, and this commission percentage is by default it's 5, 6 or 7. It depends on your country. So let's make it 7 for now, and which means whatever you win, 7% goes to the Betfair. And we also have this notification section. In this section we can actually specify how and for what kind of events we want to receive notifications, and usually we need to select this email for bet conditions met notification if we want to have bet confirmations, but I'll show in the next section how to exclude how to skip any kind of notifications. But we can basically mark all those web notifications so we can receive them in our web notifications section. And also the next section is Windows, which is FlexBetManager Windows client. We can receive also notifications in Windows client. So let's select all of them. Alright, and the next section is our settings section. In our settings section we can have skip bet confirmation. If this is not a real Betfair bet, you're not making real bets on Betfair, then you might want to basically skip any kind of confirmations, and once betting conditions are passed, it's gonna record a bet, a non-real fake bet on our system. Or even if you're using FlexBetManager Windows client, it's gonna just straight place a bet at Betfair using your Windows client. So for our betting strategy, let's select this, and if we don't want to have bet confirmations, in the next videos I'll create some other bet strategies, and I'll show you how you get a bet confirmation and how you confirm your bets. And the next thing is pick up only Betfair enabled matches. The good thing about Betfair enabled matches is that we have all the Betfair odds, and basically all the important matches are in Betfair. That's why I usually check this option as well. The next one is enable Betfair mode. So what does this mean? It's actually, so selecting this option will try to make a real Betfair bet using your Windows FlexBetManager Windows client, and if your Windows client is inactive and it's not up and running, then it's not going to place any bets. And in this case we can see that Windows client is red, which means it's not active. In the next videos again I'll show you how it works with FlexBetManager Windows client, and it'll turn to green when it's up and running. So for now let's keep it as inactive. And the next thing is disable notifications. So when you check this switch box, it'll just skip any kind of notifications except bet confirmation if it's required. So basically all those all those options will just be ignored, but in our case we want to receive notification, so let's keep it inactive. Alright, our first betting strategy is defined. We have all the conditions and we can go ahead and activate it. We just click this switch box and it becomes active. Okay, so now let's click on strategy matches, and in this page we can see all the matches that are being played right now, and we can see that we already have one bet placed for this betting strategy which we just created, and let's see how are those conditions passed. So it's the minute is between 20th and 25th, which is passed. Those two are passed. And then total goals, it's 0-0, which means there are no goals, it's also passed. The number of total shots is 5 right now, and our condition was to make it more than 3. And if we click on the match, it's gonna show the match data, and in the statistics section we can see that there's one shot from Santos and 4 shots from Atletico Paranense. And then next condition is total red cards. There are no red cards, which means this condition is passed. The odds for this bet type was 2.1 at the time of bet placement, which is more than 1.9, and the total number of dangerous attacks is the condition is 18, and at the point when it passed was 20. So all those conditions are passed, which means condition group is also passed, and the bet was automatically recorded. So we can click here and to see information about the bet. Now let's go to bet history section. From bet history section we can basically see the list of all our bets and filter them based on different criteria. We'll basically cover this section in the upcoming videos, but for now we just can see it showing our bet, and at this point the profit loss is minus 100 because the bet was just placed. Let's keep it for now, and we'll come back once the first half is finished or a goal is scored, and you'll see that this recorded status will be switched either to lost or to won. Alright, we can see Santos scored, which means it's gonna win this bet, and if we just reload it a couple of times, it usually takes 2 to 3 minutes to finalize the bet, and now it shows as bet won. And yes, so if we go to bet history, back to bet history, we can see it shows as won, and our profit loss is 102.3 conversional units. As dollars, it can be euros depending on your bookmaker or Betfair account. Alright, let's summarize what we covered in this video. We created our first betting strategy. We had FlexBetManager engine to pick up matches, check and pass conditions, and record a bet. Once a goal was scored in a match, the bet was marked as won. I'm going to create more betting strategies with more conditions in the upcoming videos. So stay with us and join FlexBetManager. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click notification bell for being notified for more videos.